No, Paul, please, I just want to...
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's the environment of the candy store. You can have 65.
And this one.
Will you come on?
One of the nice things about this show was that everybody was together. The crew, plus the actors and the executives, all lived together downtown in this bizarre neighborhood. It was like going to a school or something.
I knew what I was getting into. We were all going to be living together. It was all going to be, 24/7.
So it had a kind of a camp feel to it. And once you were in, you were in. I don't want to call it lockdown because that seems extreme.
It wasn't even a studio. It was called Lacy Street. That was actually the name of the street. It was this old abandoned warehouse.
It was either too hot or too cold.
There was flaking paint, there were stray cats, there were rats, and various insects and vermin.
We had secondhand furniture in our offices, if we were lucky, beat-up desks, and yet there is this amazing camaraderie.
We all played. We had a great time.
I'm hereby announcing a new tradition. From now on, anyone who receives a commendation or a promotion buys the rest of us around.
Absolutely.
It was very much an ensemble, and Barney always wanted that.
There was a wonderful supporting cast. This is not just Tyne Daly and Sharon Gless, but Al Waxman, who played the lieutenant.
It's got nothing to do with pressure. I'm doing my job and you two are not doing yours. Now, if you two haven't got what it takes to question the boy...
We didn't say that, sir.
Well, I'm saying that.
Even though he wasn't the star of the show, he always had this sense of status and gravitas. So when Lieutenant Samuels was on screen or in frame, you couldn't really tear your eyes from him.
Anytime we could delve into his past relationship with his wife, his surrogate fatherhood, with especially CAGNEY, this was gold.
It's awkward, I know, Davey.
Oh. I mean what, candy? Flowers? Oh, hey, this is stupid. Who do I think you are, dear Abby?
Sidney Clute, who was a very dear friend of mine long before CAGNEY and LACEY, one of my closest friends, played LaGuardia.
I want to resign.
I can't hear you.
Damn it, Bert, I tell you, I'm quitting.
And I tell you, I'm not listening.
Sidney died very early on in the making of the show. We kept LaGuardia alive throughout the entire run of the series. He was on the credits even when he passed away. We'd always talked about him. He was retired in New Jersey, living with a much younger woman, which Sid Clute would have appreciated.
And then there was John Carlin, who played Mary Beth's husband, Harvey.
We got thousands of letters from women about Mary Beth and Harvey's relationship.
I am not going to let you hide out like this. I want you to talk to me and tell me what you are feeling.
I wanted to be a regular man and a regular woman who were crazy for each other, not some kind of magazine ideals. There was something comforting about that, I think.
Johnny had a great job. He'd show up one day a week, put on his pajamas and become Harvey Lacy.
More champagne?
No. I used to think, if I'm a good girl and I work very hard all week, then at the end of the week I get Johnny Carlin and we'll do these domestic playouts that'll be fun.
The only gift I ever have to give a woman is me.
Take me off your Christmas list.
Marty, kind of the bumbling, anti-feminist guy, which I think he plays so perfectly.
Every project needs a diva.
Hey, I'd look pretty good in this, don't you think?
And Sharon and I were so busy competing with each other to not be the diva that Marty was elected.
I love Marty. His Becky I couldn't stand.
How do you like the cologne?
On someone else. He was the womanizer in the cast.
I received a lot of grief from people who write harsh letters. Get off the show. You don't need you and your machismo and your lack of respect for the women. But I knew it was all in good faith because they liked to dislike this guy, and it was enjoyable.
Black child killed by a cop could cause a problem, but show my black face, maybe everybody will stay cool. Look, we don't want any incidents like they had in Miami. So I become the poster boy in some racist publicity game.
I enjoy working with Carl a great deal. Carl's character was humble. and he was a terrific cop.
I think the character of Detective Petrie for me was one that I really had strong feelings for how I wanted him to be portrayed. And as a black man, I was not always thrilled with portrayals that I saw on television. And I made a personal choice that I would rather be boring than try to fulfill any stereotypes.
Carl Lumley was Gary Cooper. You know, it's just refined and calm, and let's just do the police work and not make noise. And Victor always wanted to make noise.
We were like the odd couple of the precinct.
So it was a great duo, because we were at two different ends of the spectrum.
I never knew fathers could feel that way. I'll shut up.
That's okay. You must get tired of hearing me talk about whatever I talk about.
Yourself.
Yeah, but who could blame me?
I think the male actors had to work really hard to get their moments in the sun. A couple of times I deliberately set up storylines for the guys because I felt they were underused, and I also thought they had a lot to bring in terms of humor for the show.
There's a call coming through from your wife. She just wants to know what time you'll be home.
Georgia Jeffries always wrote the great stuff for Sharon and I, because I always believed that deep down inside, Christine Cagney was in love with me. But I knew she couldn't show it. It was the subtext we always played. I remember filming Chop Chop because it was the first time I had a major deal. And I go undercover and I get kidnapped. And Christine is saving me. And I'll never forget it. I mean, she saves me. She finally saves me, takes the gag off at the last second. I figured now she loves me.
I'm glad you're okay.
Then tuck me in tonight.
I cannot stand that man!
I remember being a part of an episode where my character, he had a baby on the show, and he seemed to just soften up.
Isn't she terrific?
Oh, really cute.
But here, this one is for you.
For me? Oh, no, I couldn't take a picture of your daughter.
I've got more.
As it turns out, the wife who was the wife in difficulty having the baby was not the wife who I ended up with on the show. They recast the part with Vanetta, who became my wife, and is still my wife. So CAGNEY and LACEY always will be, you know, the most important job I think I've ever had.
Mary Beth, look, he just uses it for recreational purposes.
Christine, don't play dumb with me. There's a reason that man is on drugs. Drugs? Come on, we're not talking heroin.
One of the most memorable episodes for me is Recreational Use, in which we introduce the lover of Cagney, whose name was Dory, and he has a cocaine problem. And it culminates in a scene that I just love, which is they physically fight with each other.
Damn you! To see a hero, like she's supposed to be, get down and have not a woman's cat fight. This was a real two trained fighters. But going at it because of the love they had, and then the rage and the anger, and it was fun to play her stripped and frightened, because it was real.
I'm trying to have a nervous breakdown, for God's sake, and you're sneaking around putting me on paper?
Burnout came out of my own feelings about what it was like to work this hard and try to have a home life.
When Tyne saw the script, she became its most passionate defender. The show was aired, and the response was unbelievable. This touched a chord in women all across America.
You realize that, of course, this is what a woman's life is like. Guys don't go through that.
Do you know, the only time I have for myself is in between places. 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
I don't think there's sort of a housewife alive who doesn't have, little kids and maybe is working outside the home or not, that doesn't have escape fantasies.
I think there's a mythology that women can have it all. One side always suffers, and I think it's unfair that women have to face this dilemma, and I think the show, in many ways, dramatized that.
I'm sorry, lady. What is the problem?
My husband beats me. One of the other things that this show really allowed is to really investigate women's issues in a dramatic kind of way.
Stories about battered women, stories about battered children, stories about rape, the kinds of women's issues that we weren't seeing anywhere else on the television dial.
Classic woman scorn, you know about it.
Paul, the woman was raped. Read your penal code. Sexual intercourse without consent.
Hey, don't be so literal. What do you think us guys are, mind readers or something?
Date rape was the perfect example. This was the hardest episode to get past the network. God bless Barney Rosenzweig. He supported us all the way. He said that's exactly the kind of story that we should be doing on this show.
Date rape was very important also. It kind of changed the course of where the show would go from then on.
Politically conservative groups spoke out against that.
But ultimately, in the press, it played to our advantage because it showed that we were a progressive show.
Controversy is sort of a funny word because it may have been controversial in some respects of it shining a light on things that weren't usually on. But it was actually very accepted for mirroring what women were really going through in the country at that time.
So what are you, a bunch of perverts standing around the woman's John? We would appreciate a little privacy here. Gentlemen, excuse me.
Jeez. Even Claudia, you get her on a bad day, I'm telling you.
The second part of the season progressed. We were making some very good episodes, but we were getting battered every week. And so we were canceled at the end of that season. The cast was sent away, contracts were null and void, and I came back to my office from New York, and a man arrived at the studio with 3 boxes filled with letters. There had to be thousands of them. These people were angry because the show had been canceled. Well, there's no way I could have written these people back, but I decided I would write a form letter.
What Barney did that was so interesting is that instead of telling people to write to the network, which is what many people do, he asked people to write to the New York Times, the LA Times, the places that the high-level network executives would see it.
What happened when you wrote the newspaper is that other people saw it and they began to write. And it began to cascade that way.
There's a woman named Dorothy Swanson. She was from Michigan, had been a homemaker, and she really liked CAGNEY and LACEY, like a lot. And she wrote a letter off to one of the writers. And she said, is there anything we can do? Rosenzweig got word of that. He invites her out to California. She goes to the set and all the rest of it. She starts this enormous letter writing campaign. That would be the start of an organization called Viewers for Quality Television.
Meanwhile, we were telling our readers to keep writing, keep saying, you know, we want to see this.
The mail was gratifying, but we never thought that that would be the wellspring that ended up bringing the show back.
He turned that thing into a real public relations phenomenon.
One day in September at 4:10 in the afternoon, I got a phone call from the CBS network saying, we have made a mistake. Can you put this back together again? So it was a pretty heady moment, you know.
You've got to credit Barney Rosenzweig for that. He orchestrated that and got it done.
This show would have been canceled the first time around if he hadn't messed around. It would have been canceled the second time around, and both times he brought it back to the extent that it went till 1988 and ultimately then was resurrected 4 more times in 4 made-for-TV movies. I mean, even if CAGNEY and LACEY was a cat, it would only have a couple more lives left.
The letter writing campaign made me believe that, all right, maybe what we're doing here actually has meaning and power and can be helping things.
I think people can do anything they want to do. You just have to have the passion and believe in it, which those fans did.
And that campaign never stopped because Barney beautifully nurtured the relationship with viewers for quality television. So anytime we were dealing with stories that were more controversial, where he thought we might be getting some censorship from the network or the production company, he'd put in a call to the women who organized that. And they went on to support a number of shows. So they really served an important purpose.
What are you so mad about?
I'm not.
Don't do that to me. If you have something to say, just say it.
Look, I just would like to get to work. You apologize.
That wasn't an apology.
Oh, good, because there's no reason to.
We got awards from
as many organizations as you can possibly imagine because we covered every possible topic.
Well, the awards and all of that only say to me that people were wanting that kind of material and that kind of focus on women's issues.
It launched the beginning of the change in television in terms of women being portrayed as interesting three-dimensional characters.
Women never had a dramatic role in television, you know, two women starring in a series until they let us do it. They never repeated that format, which is interesting to me.
That isn't to say, however, that CAGNEY and LACEY didn't have a really important legacy. And I think that what that was not so much what we would see on the TV screen as what was going on behind the TV screen.
Barney made a real point of hiring women directors, which was not happening hardly at all in those days, especially again for drama. We always had women writers on the staff, always, from the very beginning.
So this show became kind of a college, kind of a farm team to really begin to give women some credentials and some experience in working for a major network program. And I think that was probably its most important legacy.
I expected this from some of the guys out there, not from you two.
What, women are supposed to stick together no matter what? Come on, I stopped believing that when I threw away my You've Come a Long Way baby keychain.
The show walked its talk. It really did open doors for women who were not only not welcomed at other series, they weren't even really noticed when they were knocking on the door.
Now we look back on it and say, oh, it was groundbreaking, but nobody knew that at the time.
It was an opportunity to become a better actor, and that really did happen. Become a better human being, that's an opportunity you have every day, and that was in the mix there.
I, more than anyone, was educated on that show. I became much more socially responsible and politically responsible. And I grew up on that show.
CAGNEY and LACEY was part of a sense of the strength of women that came out in the 70s and 80s. I wish there were more of it now.
I think if there is a moral to this story, it is that viewers will only get something that resembles themselves and their own lives and what they would like to see on television if they raise hell. Because the media is now and was then way behind.
It's like voting. If you don't vote, you can't complain about who's in office. If you don't participate in this process, you're not going to have good television. And I would admonish our viewers to do for us and for other shows what they did originally for CAGNEY and LACEY.